Hi guys, hope everyone's well. This is just a quick, we're halfway through the day on this job. So this is basically the last job of the day. We're back at Carol's, as you can see from the intro. This is probably the third job, I think. Yeah, third job we've done for her now. So it shows up that good work is always rewarded. We've got a gate to fit round the corner actually for her next. But onto turfing really. I just wanted to give a few tips on how I turf basically. So as you can see at the minute, we are basically just taking the sods off. It was mainly weedy grass. It wasn't very deep rooted or anything, so it was really easy with a small spade basically. Yeah, so you start off with that. Wait a minute until we get to the next bit. I wish it could work as fast as that some days. Some days in my head it goes that quick, but realistically it doesn't. But as you can see, it's just a matter of scraping the old stuff off, basically. And as you're going through, if there's any like large lumps or anything like that, you can flatten them out a little bit. Although you will see me with a rotavator in a minute. I've actually spared you the dredge of me cleaning up. As you can see, obviously it's the next stage. That little rotavator that you've seen with, it's a bit of a bone shaker, but it's the best 50 quid I think I've ever spent. It's not wanted for anything for the last 5 years, apart from a full cord. That's about it, it's your usual tricks. But you'll see I go over it twice, maybe 3 times. It's pretty shallow actually, and normally, depending on what the soil's like, this was slightly heavy clay, but it was quite loose on the top, so realistically you only need to be about 3 inches for turf really. You can go deeper if you want, but you only cause more trouble to yourself. Okay, this is just a general raking. So if you've got any like big lumps and bumps that you've probably just knocked out with a rotavator, it just helps just to level the ground off a little bit. All you're doing realistically is taking bits of root, big lumps of rocks, or big rocks should I say, not big lumps of rocks, and just generally getting it to a certain level so it's nice and flat, or flat enough. I do 3 lots of raking. I do this one, which is getting rid of all your rubbish that's on the top that you've just rotavated out. Then I'll do you'll see a process called healing in a minute, and after that I will do a another raking, which then fills in all the indentations that you've just made with your heels, and it's where you can level it out to make it ready for putting the turf on. So this is a process of what you call healing. It's basically, you've just rotavated over and loosened it all off, and you go along and you're basically walking but putting all the pressure on your heels, so you're then crushing the ground back down enough to make it firm enough to lay the grass on, but not too firm that it won't grow. So you do this and then you rake again. Right, as I'm getting closer, you can see that I'm basically going along and dragging it across, so it basically takes out all the rubbish. You don't want any stones above 20mm left, basically, because they create air pockets, and then in that air pocket, that's where the roots of the grass die. I do pat it down after I've laid it, which basically almost eliminates that, but still, bigger lumps you just need to get out. So onto the laying of the turf. I've basically raked it twice now. The third time I rake it, when obviously I make a mess of the ground that I'm just about to lay on. As you can see, I was going to lay this lengthways and then decided to lay it across. I can't remember the reason why. I think normally when it's a square it's a lot easier, but this was a bit of an odd shape. As long as you stagger the joints, you're okay. I mean, personally, someone's going to shoot me for this, I'm sure, but I've not noticed any difference laying the grass as staggered joints or as equal joints. After about 6 months of it growing and you're cutting it, it all just blends in anyway. But I will, for the purpose of this video, tell you to stagger the joints. And anyway, if you lay a full line down, the bit that you cut off the next one always starts your next row. So as you can see, well, you can't really see in this picture, but as you can see that I'm raking the ground of what I've just laid and knelt on. It's quite unusual actually that I've actually got some boards, some planks to walk on. 9 times out of 10 if I do turfing, unless it's a massive job, I won't use planks. as you can see, I've just used the offcut from the last one to start the next row off. You may find it a bit strange that I'm using a wood saw to cut the turf. It's the best thing I've found. I mean, I used to use an old kitchen knife until I lost it some years ago. This isn't a saw that I use for cutting wood now, it's just an old one that I've had laying around a while, but it cuts grass perfectly. And that edge that you see on the drive is slightly rounded, so it actually helps that you got a big blade and you can bend the blade a little bit to mimic the drive. The next process you'll see with a rake, you can see me patting it down. That basically eliminates all the air pockets and just gives you a better form. And then if you have got any uneven bits in your grass, it helps pat them down and make it a lot more level. So this is a process I've just been talking about. You can see it a bit better now, that once you've butted your grass up together and laid it down, to make sure it's all nice and firm and flat, is just tap it with the rake. That is just a tarmac rake. Don't use anything special, just a leaf rake and a tarmac rake. While I'm waiting just for me to finish off here, one quick tip: if you do lay turf and the customer isn't watering it, you'll see that it shrinks at the edges and you'll get gaps, and it starts going brown as well. So if that happens and you've told your customer to water it, the only thing you can do is put topsoil compost in the gaps and seed it, basically, unless you're willing to obviously returf the whole thing again. So this is just finishing the edge off. Yeah, again, this is where the saw comes in handy, because it's quite a good size cut on it, and you can cut it to wherever you want. I suppose you could do it with a knife as well, but you know, it's got a longer blade, it would take twice as long. It would be twice as quick, should I say. this is me going over it one final time, just making sure the edges are all tampered down and flat enough to the ground that they don't get them air pockets or any grass dying. Okay, that's it finished off. It's all watered in. I'll never leave a turf without being watered in, just purely for the fact that then I know it's giving it a good chance of survival. Hope everyone's well, keeping easy. I'll see you again on the next one.